What is going on, gang? How are you doing on this Sunday, man? I want to say thank you all for hanging out on a special Sunday, man. Usually I do shout outs and, support the comic book community. But more importantly, tonight or today, depending where are you at around the world, man, we're going to hang out with some people right now. And if you don't know about them, you're going to know a thing or two. I'm going to let you know right now. Give me a thumbs up if this mic sounds fine because I've been hearing some things that has not been okay lately. But, yo, man, this is the place to be to hang out with me, hang out with the panel. Shout out to the channel members that are subscribed to the channel. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, oh my lord, I don't even know where to start with this, man. I've been nervous all day, man. Not for one homie in the panel, but for the other one, man. It's the first time, true first appearance on the channel. The other homie, I'm comfortable with him, man. But with that being said, this is my this is the way I'm gonna bring you on to the show, sir, man. So hope you appreciate it, man. If you do not know this dude, man, you've been sleeping under a rock or somewhere, but you should know him. We're bringing in right now, man. Man, the homie that did a horror thriller Mountain Head comic book, man. And not only that, man, a series that was a skyrocket comic book. Boom, that was a hit, man. It was Hotel. And I'm gonna bring in right now for the first time ever, John Lees.
Hello. That was quite an introduction. After all that build-up, I hope it don't disappoint.
And from across the pond, should
Yeah.
I mention, gang?
If you can't tell by this very Scottish accent, I am from across the pond.
Yes, sir, man. Thank you for accepting the invite. We've been talking back and forth for quite some time, man.
Yeah, I think it was actually way back near the start of the year, like we talked about coming on, and I'd said if you hold on a little while, I'll have a few new books coming out, like later on in the year, so we should do it at that point so we can talk about some new stuff.
Yeah, man, for sure. And I have to say, I'm so excited to do this show. I hope the guys in the chat can share this out to the community because what we're about to see and talk right now is going to be pretty dope. It's amazing. John is amazing. You've read his stuff, so with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I cannot leave out this guy. You can see the background right now where this is going. And we're going to be talking about this in a few seconds. But, John, if the people don't know you, you want to give a little something of who you are?
Sure. Yeah, hello, I am John Lees. I am a comic book writer based out of Glasgow, Scotland. I've done a bunch of comics over the past several years. The ones I'm probably best known for include Sync with Alex Cormack, who's going to be in a little second. That's our kind of epic, hard-boiled crime horror saga set in a nightmarish district of Glasgow. That's been a big hit for 2 volumes over the past couple of years. Another comic called And Then Emily Was Gone, which I did with Ian Laurie, which was my first breakout comic, which is a kind of creepy horror up in the Scottish Islands. And as mentioned by Rod, I did a comic last year called Hotel for AWA Studios, which is a kind of horror anthology set in an old roadside hotel off Route 66 where terrible, spooky things happen. And yeah, so that's going to be coming back for volume 2, which we're going to be talking about on the show. And I also have another upcoming comic with Alex called The Crimson Cage, which we'll be talking about on the show as well.
Well said, sir. Well said, man. Yo, I am. Oh my God, man. I've read Crimson Cage, but we cannot do it alone, man. We bring it on right now. This guy. Not to mention that you do some fart, some not some fart, some great writing, man. You do some great writing, but when you bring the art, is what I'm trying to say, gang.
I thought you said you do some
When
good
you bring
farts,
the
and I'm like, I
art,
do some good farts sometimes, but
the mind is thinking so fast. The mind is thinking so fast. You can't do this alone without someone. You told me he's a close friend. We bring in your.
Oh
friend.
yeah, he's my comics life partner, Alex Cormack.
Right. What the? Me?
What is going on, Alex Cormack?
What's up?
How are you
How
doing?
you doing? John, you from Scotland? Oh, hello.
I think John has froze up for 1 second.
Ah, what have I done?
I am so happy that we got the panels right now. The panel members, we got John Lee's in the house. We got Mr. Alex Cormack.
How we doing?
Alex Cormack, this homeboy right now, has been on the channel before. This homeboy is he's a cool guy, and he could draw a thing or two, man.
All right.
So if they never seen you before, Mr. Alex, let the people know if you don't mind.
Sure, yeah. Comic book artist. Worked on a zillion books, especially with John. We've done Sync, the upcoming Crimson Cage, which we're going to talk about, like he was talking about. Let's see what else. I do a book called Weed Magic. I do a book called Crossing. I do a book coming out also pretty soon called Duel. And that one's with Bliss on Tap. And what else I do? It's a bunch of other stuff. But yeah, I draw comics and it's a blast, man. I love doing it. Oh, and of course, obviously Road of Bones and Sea of Sorrows, which is why I was on last time on the show. And I gotta say, you guys do like the most ridiculous kind of like the drawing like competition thing. That jumping on, I was like, I got like 2 minutes to draw something.
Yeah, man.
Like we were doing Star Wars, and I was like, okay, all right, let's see, and we're done. Oh, okay, here's 3 lines of something.
Yeah, man. Alex came on the Lane with Friends show,
Yep.
and everybody was nervous because we had a ringer on there, and Alex did not win.
Yeah, no, I got smoked. Yeah, I was thinking like, oh yeah, I'm gonna come in some hot shot. You know, here I come. Yeah, I'm a professional. And yeah, no, I was like, oh, these guys are good.
You just never know, man. You just never know, man. And there's a few people that want to jump back on the show. Hopefully, you, Alex, will jump on. And
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I gotta figure out some time. Yeah, it's been nuts lately, but I'd love to get back on there.
All right, well said, man.
I've been practicing my 2-minute drawings. You know, I got a game plan for next time.
All right, that's what I'm talking about. You can
Yep.
plan ahead, but you never know what's going to happen after.
That's right. You can plan all ahead all you want, but then until you say what we're drawing, it doesn't matter.
Exactly. I don't know, man. I don't know what's going to happen throughout the show. But
Sorry about that. Some internet connection issues there. I think the impact of Alex joining the chat was just so massive that it just blew up my internet.
All right, man. This is it, gang. Thank you all for hanging out in the chat. Yo, man, shout outs, man. TM Nerdy, Empyre Comics, Chill Monger in the house, Raging Cajun Comics. Thank you all for hanging out with us right now. We're gonna be talking about a certain book. AWA Upshot has been dropping a lot of great content lately, man.
Yeah.
And before we get into the book that I've been reading, and I just want to ask you guys, man. I know Alex and you guys, man. You guys are been doing your things for years, man. And IDW and the whole 9 yards. But how is it now working? You got this book about to drop, and certain other things, especially you, John, that are about to drop. But AWA Upshot, how has it been? How these guys treating you and welcoming you into the home of AWA?
Yeah, like it's been good. Well, I'd say the main thing is obviously I've worked with AW already. We did Hotel together. But but it's especially fun being able to kind of bring Alex into the fold and get to like, or because obviously me and Alex have like a big history, like we've been working together for years. So when I started thinking about like the Crimson Cage and like who I wanted to do it with, like the first choice in my mind was Alex, and so it's cool kind of getting to work on. Obviously, we're well versed in working together, but getting to work on a project and having like this infrastructure behind us, and like these like the editorial team and the marketing team, and like like, I remember like back the last time I was at New York Comic Con, 2019, back before the world ended. I took like me and Alex got to visit like AWA Studios. There's like actual studio in like Manhattan, and it was like a whole floor, like because I was in doing some promo stuff for hotels. So I brought Alex along with me, like to introduce him to everybody and all that. Yeah. And it was just so cool seeing the setup the AWA have. Like they have a whole floor of this big like fancy building, like prime real estate in the sort of center of Manhattan, and they have a whole staff on board, and they have like editors and like marketing departments and legal departments, and like they had like a whole camera crew in filming stuff for them and all this. And it's a really slick professional setup. So, and yeah, it's been like really fun like working with them. Like it took a long time to get to this point between like the whole process of like finalizing like the deal to work on it, and then like the pandemic happening and holding it off for a year. But now once we've actually finally got going on it, it's been very harmonious. Like things have been going along really fast, and yeah, it's been a lot of fun. The whole process has been a blast. As I'm sure we'll get into talking about, like this comic is like a dream project for me, so it's just been so much fun getting to work on it and getting to see those pages coming in.
Sweet, man.
That's right.
Very nice, man. Very nice, man. And man, I'm out of words, man. I'm just here. I'm looking at you two fine gentlemen, and I'm looking at the
impact on people all the time. To be honest,
now, man. So, in AWA, man, I know Alex works for, so IDW, but how is it your experience working for AWA, man?
Oh, for me, it's been great. I mean, they've been everybody there's been really nice and really great. For my sake, and knock on wood, this continues. A lot of it's just been like, all right, go do it and get cracking. And what'll happen is I'll draw a page, and I'll drop the page and everything, and I'll send it to John. And John's the first one to always see it. And like, all right, what do you think? And most of the time it's like, yeah, great. And I'm like, all right. And then I'll send it to AWA and to everybody and be like, all right, here's the news page. I'm getting started on the next one. And most of the time it's just a lot of like, yeah, great. Keep going. Yeah.
More,
like,
please.
All right.
Another.
Yeah. So another. Quick. Yeah, quick. Talk. But and it's a lot of like kind of just a lot of trust from them to me to just go ahead and just get the stuff out. So it hasn't been like someone on my back being like, that's great, but that thumb, can we get it over to like that a little bit? And can we fix that a little bit? And then it's been a lot of just like,
I'm the one that does that.
What's that?
I'm the one that does that. You change
yeah.
this little bit, you do this, you do that.
But IDW's been really great. AWA's been really great. And John's been the worst. Yeah, that's been great.
Yeah, no, that's just the whole process. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
It's all this the abuse that I lay upon you.
Oh my god, it's horrible. It's horrible. I can't. You gotta help me. This is terrible.
You're gonna, if you actually watch carefully, like Alex is gonna start communicating, like help me in sign language.
Yeah.
During the course of, like,
how do you do it?
I may need it too, so just do whatever you guys need to do, man. I'm nervous right now, hanging out.
Oh, actually, I gotta be careful. I was gonna joke around with this pad, but I just realized the last
thumbnails of the final issue of like Crimson Cage coming at the end.
Thumbnailed on that, so can't show that.
I'm doing that.
Yeah.
Right. All right, gang, man. There's the project that you guys came up with, man. AWA is on fire right now, man. If you guys don't know AWA UPSHOT, man, I got the link in the description below. I got their links in the description below. John Lee's and Mr. Alec Cormack. I got their stuff there, man. But there's a book. There's a book, man. And I'm a wrestling fan. I know John is, but Mr. Cormack, how about you, sir? You gotta be a wrestling fan if you've been working on this project. But I'll let John drop the bomb on this project. But how about you, Mr. Cormack?
So for wrestling, yeah, when I was a kid, sure. So the funny thing is, my brother was the one that got me into comics, right? My older brother is like 5 years older than me, and he was the one that was like, "All right, you're good at art. You should be drawing this stuff." So he sat down with like all those like late '80s, early '90s, like all the Todd McFarlane, Jim Lee stuff, like the Craven's Last Hunt, all that stuff, right? Like that was always on like his bedroom floor, and that's what I would always pick up and be like, "Oh, what's this book? What's this?" And so the funny thing is, he was also a huge wrestling fan when we were growing up. So he would always make sure that my mother would order the pay-per-view, like WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Survival Series, all those classic ones. So like when I was a kid, I was like, I rooted for Hulk Hogan. And like I remember my sister was a big Ultimate Warrior fan. So when they fought in like SummerSlam '89, maybe, I remember it was a lot of tension in the house. And but yeah, so for like the '80s up to my brother going to college in '95, I was on board with everything that was going on. Once he left the house, that wrestling kind of just stopped in the house. So right when NWO started up, right when Hulk Hogan became a bad guy, right when like the leg drop heard around the world or whatever they call it, all that stuff going on, I missed all that. Like I was aware of it, but I was already out of there by that point. I was already looking at other things that like, and like, so when I got the script from John, because we were talking about this right after we did the first 5 issues of Sync.
Yeah.
And we were kind of like, hey, that was great. I don't know what's gonna happen to Sync. We'd like to do more, but in the meantime, what else? And John sent me the Crimson Cage, and like, this is kind of a dream project of mine. I've been sitting on this. I think it's gonna be really exciting. And man, it just like all those memories from being a kid, like just started like flooding back. It was like it was just, I guess, like smacked in the head with nostalgia. And I was like, that's right, they did this and this. And you just dropped the name Sensational Sherry, which I didn't think of since probably like 88 or 89. And I was like, that's right. That was Macho Man, this thing, and Miss Elizabeth, all this stuff. So, and I was like so psyched reading the first, just for issue 1. I then went immediately like over to my wife, who was doing something in the other room, and I started just gushing about like, oh, and he did this, and John set it up this, and it's smart because he's doing this, and he's connected to this, and it's a big method, right? Like all the whole thing. And I apparently sold her on it. She's like, well, who's doing the coloring? And I said, well, I just got the script. We're just figuring it. And she's like, well, if no one else is doing it, I would love to jump on board if you don't mind. I'm like, I'll ask John, but sure, you have my permission. And so that's
the actual truth is, I was only hiring Alex so I could get Ashley. So that was
that's But yeah. So to answer your question, so like I like even these days, like I haven't really watched it in a while. I still haven't watched it in a while. But I mean, yeah, when I was a kid, I loved it, and even though I don't watch it all, it's something that, how can you not respect what these guys are doing? It's insane what they're doing. And it's just, it's good. It's its own storytelling. It's amazing stuff. And just because I don't watch it every day doesn't mean everybody else shouldn't. So,
I mean, it's interesting hearing Alex's like history with it and stuff, because like I'm a wee bit different in the fact that I came in a little bit later than Alex did, obviously because I'm like more youthful. But I came in like I was like maybe early 90s when I started watching, like 1991, 90. too. And like I wasn't a Hulk Hogan guy. I was a Bret Hart kid. That's like who.
Oh
like,
yeah, my brother was all Bret Hart, and he was.
Yeah.
I remember. I think he was at the fight with Shawn Michaels when that all went down.
Yeah, like I was like, you know, like all about Bret Hart, and I remember like I was one of the few people who was like angry at Stone Cold Steve Austin. I was like, how dare like, you know, Steve Austin disrespect Bret Hart? Why are all these ungrateful fans booing Bret? That's so mean. How dare they? You know, like, so so yeah, I was all about a Bret Hart kid. Then like, you know, like I kept on watching through the highs and lows. And yeah, so it's always been some. Yeah, there's been ebbs and flows. I've always been interested in wrestling, and like obviously I've always been interested in comics, and I thought it was a great kind of scope for doing like a wrestling comic. Obviously there's been wrestling comics, there's been good wrestling comics, but I don't know, I still had a feeling that like, you know, like there was a chance to do like, you know, the ultimate wrestling comic, like, you know, and I thought maybe I could be the guy that does it. But I wasn't sure. I mean, going way back to like the start of my career, like I remember when I did The Standard, I had an idea in my head of doing something set in the world of like the 1980s pro wrestling territories, but didn't really know what. And it all kind of came together around, the first kind of inkling of it was around 2015, 2016, when I'd watched like the Macbeth that came out with Michael Fassbender, and then shortly afterwards I'd watched Throne of Blood by Akira Kurosawa, which is a classic. It's now one of my favourite movies, and I was thinking about Macbeth, and I've always loved Macbeth going back to like school. Like, you know, I was one of the few kids that actually enjoyed Shakespeare, you know, so I always loved Macbeth, and I thought, wouldn't it be cool to do like a new take on Macbeth? So I had this wrestling idea and this Macbeth idea, and the two kind of came together, and I thought, why not do a retelling of like William Shakespeare's Macbeth set against the backdrop of like the 1980s pro wrestling territories, and it was all off to the races from there.
Man, it is well said, man. You talking about Macbeth and some wrestling, man. I have to say, what you guys got going on, and it's gonna be dropping soon. Yo, it is fire, man. The writing, the artwork is fantastic, and not to mention the Mrs. Cormack. I had to shout her out, man. Yo, it is fantastic. And if you guys are wondering what book we're talking about, John Lee's, let the community know what the book is, damn it.
Yeah. I'll do just that, damn it. The Crimson Cage is a new comic from AWA UPSHOT. It is coming out in December, and it is available for pre-order now. As you've touched on, it is written by me, drawn by Alex Cormack, coloured by Ashley Cormack, and lettered by Hassan Otsmi and Elhow. And it is a really cool comic that I'm really proud of. If you liked our work on Sync, I think you'll love this. I think it's maybe my favourite thing I've written. I think it's some of Alex's best work. I think it's going to be a really special comic, so please do check it out.
Yeah, I'll back it up.
Yep. And like I say, it's available for pre-order now, so just go to your local comic shop and ask them to order it in. And if they're a comic shop worth their salt, they'll do that for you.
Yeah.
I have to say, Alex, you want to say something?
Oh, I was gonna say, yeah, I agree. I think some of my favorite work that I've done is in this book, and you know, I'm the type that'll like go back and be like, if only I did like this a little different, if I fix this up here. Which I'm, you know, but yeah, going through this, I'm like, oh, look at that, it came out pretty good. So, yeah, there's a bit in, I think, is it issue 3, John?
I'm going to say yes.
We were proud about it.
I know what you're talking about. There's a bit that happens in issue. Is it issue 3?
It's like it's near the finale for one of them, and I just remember being like, it's like, yeah, this one killed me, but I'm really happy.
I know exactly the scene you mean. Yes, that was in issue 3.
Yeah. Yeah, this is. I can't say too much just because. Can I just spoil the whole thing right now?
I mean, like, it's not.
Here's exactly.
The place is 400 years old. Folk haven't discovered the story by now.
Spoilers, yeah. So it turns out, if you know Macbeth, you can put 2 and 2 together.
Yeah. So I'll let you set it up.
Yo, man.
So yeah, like the basic premise is like, without going into too much detail, one of the kind of like big touchstones of Macbeth, or one of the scenes in it, is when Macbeth, like after he's become king, holds a big kind of banquet where he brings all the lords of the region together into like the dining hall, you know, where he's then confronted by a ghost. And our version of like the big banquet where all the lords come together is a battle royal, like, you know, with all like the wrestlers having a big match. So like Alex had to draw this massive, like, you know, like all these wrestlers,
like all these guys, the crowd, yeah. Oh yeah, it was fun.
But how is it, man? So when he sends that to you, Alex, I know you're a busy dude, man. But how is it that you look at, you know, all this that he's got writing, and how much time it takes for you to do all this art, man, all these panels, man? That is nuts, because I love your artwork for sure, man. There's a bunch of people in the community that loves your artwork. I look at it and I'm like, well, damn, that is pretty neat. And then you got to pass it on, of course, to the, you know, to the other one, the wifey. You know, she has to do her part. Yeah. And but how does that work, man?
Just do it. No, yeah, there's a lot that goes into it. So like when I get the script, I'll read, like John has it all set up. So each script it'll be like, all right, page 1, like it's got like here, like it's outside of this place. Panel 2, we're inside, we're looking at the guy sitting down. Panel 3, a new guy comes in. Panel 4, he grabs the guy sitting down. Panel 5, he throws him like across the room, something like that, right? And what I'll do is I'll normally like do a thumbnail, real kind of gross, like kind of like, all right, how am I gonna kind of put this all together? And what I'll do from there is then I'll try to draw it like real big, again, almost like a thumbnail. I kind of really sketch it out and just kind of like put it away, like, all right, this kind of works here, but maybe if I move this panel here and stuff like that, and I'll do that by pencil. And from there, I'll like either I used to scan it, now I just take a picture with my phone and chuck it on the computer. And from there, like depending on what like that battle royale we're talking about, because there's so many characters in that. What I'll do, especially for big crowd scenes, and just kind of just other stuff too, I'll then take pictures of myself and kind of acting out the whole scene. And so there's like photo booth on the computer. So I'll set up photo booth, I'll set up my computer, and I'll act it out, be like, all right.
I have seen some amazing pictures of Alex.
There's a great one from Sync for the cover of Sync 6.
Yeah.
So I'll tell the story real quick, not to get off top. There's a cover of Sync 6 where the idea is the blue van. In Sync, if you haven't read it, there's a recurring characters where it's a blue van filled with these kind of psycho killer clowns who will abduct people and then carve them up and turn them into clowns themselves, and it's very gory and horrific and all that stuff, right? So the front page for the cover of issue 6 is this woman being dragged into one of these vans. So her arms are out like this, or her legs are kicked out. You get all these guys grabbing her and like by the head and all this stuff, bringing her in the van, and that's your cover, right? So I was taking pictures. I had my wife pose on a stool with her legs up, like whoa, and I was like grabbing her. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be this clown now. I'm this clown. Like some of that. The thing is, my son was maybe 2 years old at the time, so I have a great picture where I have my wife like this, and she's going, and my son is sitting there like it's like a proper like photo, kind of like. Like it
that should have been a Christmas card for that year.
Bib, and like it was like a little like baby shirt. And, like this is.
You should have put a little baby like clown in the corner. Used it.
Family photo here.
I just think it's great because occasionally I remember there's like a panel in like Crimson Cage 2, and I think I used it for the promo purposes, but it's like Chuck Frenzy, who's like our main character, and he's got a microphone. He's going like, you know, and he's like talking this microphone, and there's like just a little glimmer in the face. I'm like, that face looks a bit like Alex. Actually, you can just see it.
So, I would use myself as a model. Yeah, there's a lot of time, especially when there's a tight deadline. It was like there's what book was it? There was what I did one book, and like there was like it's supposed to be like a boardroom meeting, and there's like 3 guys, and I was like running out of time, and they end up looking just like me.
All of them are you. It's the Cormack twins.
Yeah. So what I'll do is I'll take all these pictures. And then I'll kind of collage them. I'll cut them all out, and and I'll collage and put them all together, and I'll use that as a template, and I'll draw like kind of looking from that and all that. And what I do is I draw it in Flash, or it's called Animate now, and that's because I used to do animation, and that's the program on the computer that I was familiar with, and I still familiar with. So I'll ink it all in Flash, make it look really nice and pretty. I'll chuck it into Photoshop. I'll add some more details and make it just like, all right, make sure this is all nice. Get the shading down there and all that type of effects, like smoke effects and stuff like that. And I got like files of like splatter that I did myself with like real paint and all that stuff. And I'll put that in the thing. And those black and whites I'll chuck to John if he likes it. And then I'll chuck it to everybody at AWA. If they like it, everybody's happy. Then
I always do like it because it's great.
And yeah, and I'll give it to Ashley, and then Ashley will color it all in Photoshop, and we go from there. So yeah, there's a lot of really ridiculous pictures of me trying to figure out, all right, if I'm doing a suplex, because I don't want to draw from like WWE footage or WWF footage. I want it to be, me doing it.
Yeah. And
like I sketch it out just to make it quicker. I'll do a photo, so I'll be like, all right, I'm looking let's see if I get my arms up like this, and look, their legs are kicked out like so. I'll kind of
And then like there was a couple of times like there was a certain move that I want. Like, I think it was one point it was like an issue 1, but it's like there's one point where kind of like the world champion Van Emmerl is supposed to get like knocked onto like the top rope, and then Chuck Frenzy drop kicks him off to the outside, and it wasn't drawn like quite the right way. I
had him like going through the ropes, right? You want him over the ropes. I had him through the ropes.
Yeah. So I actually said, okay, here's what I was thinking, and sent him like a video of like me with action figures, like going like, okay, you do this. And you go like, whoa, and then kind of acted it out for him.
Yeah, who are the guys? Because I got like a little video like, all right, Alex, here we go. We got like it was like Daniel Bryan, I think, and like Triple H or something. It worked out great.
Brian Danielson right now, man. Brian Danielson, man.
Yeah, Brian. Is it Brian Danielson now?
Well, funny enough, his actual name is Brian Danielson, but he was in WWE, like they wouldn't let him use his own name, so he used Daniel Bryan instead.
That actually makes me really happy because my son's name, as John, is Daniel Bryan.
Total coincidence.
I was not aware of the wrestler when I named that. I kind of knew of this guy. I recognized the face, like the beard and the yes, but I didn't know his name.
Yeah, and I said, this is my favorite wrestler. You've just named your son after, like so what you realized.
It was just out of the blue. Like Brian was my father-in-law's like middle name, so we used that. I have a cousin named Daniel, and we kind of my wife will say we named it after Daniel Stern. I used to say we named it after Danny DeVito, and but yeah, and then like we put like a birth announcement, and I got like 15 things, and I'm like, oh, I like the wrestler. I'm like, so this is a lesson to everybody: always Google your kid's name before you name them.
Well, you can now know that Daniel Bryan has got his name back because
I know. Yeah, now we get now
there can be only one.
If I'm like at the park, I'll be like, Daniel Bryan, put that down. I won't be like, why is he here?
Then Brian Danielson's like, what? Put who down?
I want to send out a shout out, man, right now to the panel members right now. Mr. Alex Cormack, man. If you don't know him by now, get out under the rocks, man. The guy's been putting out great stuff, man, from IDW, man. Sea of Sorrow, Rose of Bones, man. One of my favorite books of all time. And we got Mr. John Lees in the house right now, man. Yo, stay tuned, man. We're talking about a wrestling comic book. We derail. We talk about wrestling. That's how we do when you hang out with the Rod, man. So, the people in the chat, thank you so much for hanging out. If you guys have any questions in the chat, feel free to drop them right now. And then, hold on 1 second.
For whole requesting, why are you so brilliant? Go into the detail explaining your genius to us.
I gotta check on my cat here. The dog or the cat got something.
So on a scale of 1 to 10, how great are you? Obviously 11, but
11, 12.
Sorry. She's trying to cough.
What is your favorite color?
Come on,
blue. No, yellow.
Crimson, obviously.
Yeah. Oh, that's about a segue.
On brand.
Yeah. Well done.
Oh, cool.
Hey, thank you. Missing link. You got taste. Thanks.
Yeah, I have to say I really dug Sea of Sorrows as well. Like, I'm a friend of Rich too, and
Yeah.
like I loved Road of Bones, and I thought that was a great comic. And Sea of Sorrows could have very easily just copied the same formula as Road of Bones, but it did something different. It's thematically linked, but it tried to do something different. It's like a different tone, more ambitious structurally, and I think it's another excellent comic. And I'm really excited to see what that team do next. I've got a couple of hints about what they may be doing next, but my lips are sealed.
We can't say much yet. There's more coming, but yeah, that's what yeah, that was a nice. So that was a fun thing with you mentioned Mountainhead before, right?
Yeah.
That was such a cool experience because once Road of Bones ended, like that final issue, the last page. So the last page here, the next page was an ad for John's Mountainhead. And it was just so cool to see, like, oh, that's my friends, like that's their book coming up next.
Yeah,
we're taking over.
It was quite cool because, like, obviously, like, we've been working on Sync together for a couple of years. Then it was quite fun that we both got a kind of like, big breakout books in IDW like next to each other.
That's right. Oh, shout out to Ryan Lee too. I mean,
Oh, Ryan's fantastic.
He's so good, so good.
Yep. That was such a fun team to work with. There was Ryan Lee and there was Sean Lee and Doug Garbark, who I wanted to change his surname to Lee, but he wouldn't do it.
Yeah, and Hotel is so good too, by the way. Yeah.
Oh, thank you very much.
It's such a fun book.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun to work
more
with.
Coming out of that too. It's gonna be
Yes,
great.
there is. That's a nice little segue there, Alex. Like Hotel Volume 1 was kind of one of like a pretty big hit for AWA, I think. Obviously, like, I had high hopes for it. I had high hopes for all of my comics, but I think even I was kind of taken aback a little bit by how well Hotel did. In terms of like sales, I think it was like AWA's second highest selling book from their launch lineup. I think the only one that did better was The Resistance with Jimeko Szynski and Mike Deodato. And then on top of like the kind of like sales for it, like the response to it was just really, I was overwhelmed by that. Like the amount of people that really seemed to kind of like really seemed to resonate with them. I mean, I had a lot of fun working on it, but I was kind of taken aback by just how much folk seemed to love it. And I really appreciated all the folk kind of sent nice messages and like, sent like reviews they'd done or like, podcasts they'd recorded talking about it or just like sending tweets bigging it up. And to be honest, I don't know if Hotel Volume 2 happens without the support that people showed for it. If it's not for all those people that were tagging me and tagging AWA, going like, when's Volume 2 happening? When's Volume 2 happening? When's Volume 2 happening? When's Volume 2 happening? I don't know if it would have happened. Obviously, like if you read Volume 1, there's like little kind of like threads and hints that we're going to be like doing more, but we didn't know for sure. TM Nerdy says, I'm happy the hotel will be 6 issues. Actually, it's going to be 5 issues, which is, sorry, not quite 6, sorry, but it is more than like 4 than we had for Volume 1, so we are kind of inching our way up, so maybe we'll be up to 6 issues by the next time round, we'll see. But yeah, like in terms of like the story for Volume 2, like for anyone who's read Volume 1, it's all set over the course of like a single weekend. It's like the story of like this weekend where there's like a solar eclipse, and it's like all the different guests staying in the hotel, like over the course of that weekend. Like each issue is like showing it from the perspective of like a different room, so like it's all quite contained, and it's like it's like the kind of Rashomon thing of like seeing like the same story from different perspectives. We didn't want to just do like the same thing for Volume 2, like, oh, it's another eclipse, like another weekend or something like that. We decided instead, like, we wanted to kind of like go bigger for this one, so it takes like place over a bigger time scale. I think it's over the course of like a week, and we have like like a more kind of like large scale story, like people leaving and coming into the hotel. We dig more into the mythology of Pierrot Court, which is this mysterious hotel where the stories take place. So I'd say I've been saying it's like bigger, bolder, and scarier. So if you liked Volume 1, and I think we had a lot of fun working on Volume 1, I think the whole team, Dalbert Taleich, the artist, Lee Lowridge, the colorist, Sal Septano, the letterer, Karen Grant, the cover artist, they've all kind of leveled up, I think, and I think this volume is like going to be bigger and better than Volume 1.
Yeah, Dalbert, he's a fantastic artist. I mean, what he was doing was so good, so good.
Yeah, No, so the fun thing is that I didn't know Dalibor when we started working on Volume 1. This was my first experience pretty much of normally when I'm working on a comic, I put together the creative team myself, and we'll all come together and then we'll go to the publishers. But with this one, it was just me as a writer who pitched Hotel, and like AWA kind of like matched me up with all these like far more qualified like experience, like because if you look at the body of work of all the rest of that creative team, I'm the chump who's done nothing, like comparison, like what are you doing? But like, so I didn't know I'd written all the scripts before like I even had a conversation with Dalibor. So one of the great things was that we did Volume 1, like I did all the scripts for Volume 1, and then I met Dalibor in person at New York Comic Con, and we hit off and we really got on well, and we just like instantly vibe with each other. So the fun thing was for this volume, Volume 2, I got to message Dalibor and say, okay, now we know each other, what do you want to draw? Can I do stuff that you'd like to do? And we can kind of like play off each other. So he got to have more input, and I got to write more to his strengths and more to his interests, and it felt more collaborative.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I really am. It's gonna be good.
Man, I'm looking forward to it too. Man. We can't wait for it.
Yep.
I have to say, man, what you guys been putting out there has been fantastic. There's no words. The comic book community is digging what you guys are doing when it comes to the indie comic books, man, for sure. It seems like, personally, myself, I go to the LCS and I'll pick up. Seems like 5-2 indie than any of the other ones, man. But you guys, man, rock, man. The indie guys are rocking. I'm telling you from the heart, yo, man, it's fire, man. Indie is rocking and rolling. So keep doing what you're doing, man.
I totally agree with you, and like I think one of the really cool things, I think like I'm not saying this just like to be like a cheerleader rah comics, but I genuinely think that some of like the best comics ever are happening now. I think it's a really exciting time to be in comics. I think obviously I've been making comics for a little over a decade now. I look even older than I feel even older than I look, I should say. But I've been at this for a while, and one of the really exciting things is that there's people who I saw like first getting their start in comics maybe around the same time as me or a little bit after me, and seeing those guys who are now like hitting their stride, doing like their major works and like really leveling up and doing like their big projects, like seeing like James Tinian like hitting his peak, seeing Ram V, like I remember when Ram V was like sort of like like he was at Thought Bubble and he had his first comic and he was sharing it around and stuff, and we're like, this guy's going to be good. And seeing like him like doing stuff like the Many Deaths of Layla Starr now, like and it's just or Green and Blue, it's just like it's really exciting to see these creators like hitting that stride and doing some of their best work. And yeah, like you, I'm buying like obviously I still like Marvel and DC stuff as well. There's still like books there that I pick up, but when I look at my pull list, a lot of it's like create your own stuff or like indie stuff, and yeah, like I think it's really exciting time for comics right now.
Hey, I want to say one thing, man. Hanging out with the panel right now, but the whole time I see Mr. Cormack in the background. He has something on one of his artwork, and it looks like he has a ponytail every time he. The entire stream, I'm looking. It looks like
it's short. I gave myself the quarantine haircut. I just buzzed it. I was sick of it. I couldn't stand it being long. But yeah, all the stuff. That's my son's getting into drawing right now, so I was putting a bunch of
runs in the family.
There's Spider-Man, there's Miles Morales. That's me and that's the family right there. He's sitting on like the shoulders there, and that's who is that? That's a cartoon character he likes, Wolfu, but that's another story for another day. But yeah, so that's funny. I didn't realize he was getting on there.
I think you should work on that. I think it'd be a good look for you, Alex.
You think so? Yeah, should I get like a little?
Right,
I'll do one of those like Rob Liefeld.
It doesn't matter.
Straight up.
because every time I look at Alex, I see this. I just see it in the back.
Yeah, sit right
That's what
here.
I focus on.
There you
I
go.
focus on. I actually focus on the camera.
I look at my bookshelf there.
So
is that better?
I see the hair. So no, don't distract me, man. But Mr. Link he mentioned something now. When are you guys gonna be dropping the bomb on revealing the Hotel Volume 3? Lees and Cormack.
I don't know. I mean, Dalibor might have something to say about that. Like the only way that Lees and Cormac's hotels happen is if Alex can kill Dalibor, and Dalibor's a big guy, so I don't fancy Alex's chances.
I'll take him. I mean, I met him back probably about the same time you met him, John. Right?
Yeah, back in 2019, aye.
So I remember, we went up to the AWA studios, and so you were in there. I just basically parked with him at the table, and just kind of, and we just chit chatted just art stuff and talked shop. He's such a nice guy, and give him the work. we got more sink and dig stuff going on. So one
time, maybe like one point, like me and you do a hotel issue, and me and Dalibor do a sink issue or something like that.
Sure. All right. Yeah, I'm for it.
but yeah, on that subject, yeah, there's more sink coming up as well. I'm not sure, like anyone who's listening, like I'm not sure if any of you have read Sink, but that's the kind of comic the kind of me and Alex are kind of best known for. We kind of like cut our teeth on. It's ran for 10 issues so far, 2 volumes, and it's kind of like an anthology series which is set in this place called Sink Hill, which is this nightmarish, forgotten district of Glasgow. The book's kind of like my twisted love letter to like my home city of Glasgow, but like a really scary version of Glasgow. We know it has like, you know, terrifying roving gangs and like fox-masked, shovel-wielding vigilantes and occult gangsters, and as Alex mentioned before, this horrifying gang of van-riding clowns who go around kidnapping people. And so yeah, one of the great things, and something that I found quite endearing in a lot of ways, is that the way things have happened with the pandemic pushing back our schedule, it's been a couple of years since we've done anything. The last one we had, issue 10, came out summer 2019, and the plan was going to be that we were going to take a year off, we're going to do the Crimson Cage in 2020, then come back in 2021 with Sink Volume 3, but then the pandemic pushed back the timeline for Crimson Cage, which then pushed back Sink Volume 3. So it's been a while since we've had Sink, and I was starting to get worried that folk maybe have forgotten about Sink. It's been a while, but it really felt quite nice that even when we had the big announcements like Hotel Volume 2 and the Crimson Cage, there were folk going, great, but is there more Sink coming? when are we getting more Sink? So yeah, we can say it's been announced on social media now that there is more Sink coming. They've got Volume 3 that's going to be launched in 2022, but ahead of that, we have a special oversized kind of graphic novella called Dig, which focuses on Mr. Dig, who's the kind of breakout fan favourite character, digging into his backstory. Oh yeah, there's a little Funko that Alex made of him. And so yeah, that's going to be, it kind of works as a kind of like jumping on point for new readers. I think anyone who's new to Sink will be able to jump on board with this issue and get an action-packed, you know, kind of accessible story that you can just kind of get on board. But also, if you're a kind of devoted, established reader of Sink, this will kind of set you up for the next stage of the series going forward. And that's going to be coming to Kickstarter shortly, so watch this space.
So we're speaking of like 2019, and you're talking about I got to make sure that this is brought up in every single thing that we do forever. So with Crimson Cage, we're all set. We're like everything, like, all right, look golden. All right, all like contract, like all paperwork.
Yeah, we got the contract all done.
Great, everything's golden. And like I'm ready get ready to draw. And John says.
Yeah, so this is maybe like early February. We'd finally, after a bunch of delays and setbacks to various things, the contract was all signed, everything was good to go, and I said, nothing short of society as we know it falling apart is going to stop this book coming out this year. And then 2 weeks later,
yep, the whole world just shuts down.
John is the boss, man. He calls the shots.
It's my fault. I'm to blame. Sorry.
Yeah, so it was a running joke all through the pandemic. Just started John like, this is all your fault.
Yeah, I am COVID-19.
Hey,
That's gonna be a villain at some point. It's gonna be so lame. Oh well. Anyways.
Anyway, gang, man, we've been talking so much, man. We got new comics dropping, man. We got the Crimson Cage, the whole 9 yards, man. You guys need to follow John Lees and, of course, Mr. Alex Cormack, man. These guys are on fire. I'm going to say IDW is on fire, too. But AWA UPSHOT is a place you want to find some good comic books, man. Check those guys out. I got their links in the description below. I try to drop all the links the best I can. So check them out, man.
And please, if you're in the chat, let us know if you're going to be picking up these books, and or let us know where your local comic shop is, and we can be getting in touch with them and telling them you've got clientele that want these books.
And if you're not going to pick it up, just,
just don't say it.
Indies are hot. Indies are hot. I'll tell you from my personal experience through my LCS. I go out there, and he knows I like my indie books. One time my wife went out there to pick up my books, and she picked up a couple books. Of course, they were Marvel DC, but she knew I wanted more. So the owner was like, well, I know Rod knows he likes this, and that. So instead of coming home with like 5 books, she came home with probably 12 books.
That's when you have a good comic shop. When they go that extra mile to know their customers, and they're like, you like this.
Yeah, I mean, there's 2 shops that I usually go to, but more now that one is very close. The one shop says he doesn't order indie books because they don't buy them. Now, the one that I go to that's very near to me, he orders indie books, and it's a cool thing, and I really do enjoy it, man. Hanging out when I walk in that shop is a cool thing. Hanging out the other one, it's like,
obviously comic shops have their own struggles to deal with. Imagine running a comic shop, you're in razor thin margins, and also sometimes you have to go for this, the sure thing. And also when you look, something I've noticed, Marvel and DC, they'll release new books and they have 50 variant covers or something. If you only have certain number of a certain amount of space in the shelf, sometimes the new Marvel release is going to take up your whole wall in a given week.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Sure, man. And well said, for sure. I know we're talking about comic books, and I know Crimson Tide is a
Crimson Tide's a good movie, but
It was bound to happen.
I wish I'd written Crimson Tide. It's a great movie. I could say I worked with Denzel.
What do you say? Yeah, I haven't thought about Crimson Tide, and that's the one thing.
Am I watching
right?
I'm watching
submarine movie
the whole time.
No, you only said that. We've been saying Crimson Cage every other time. We'll just
Crimson Cage. Holy!
Let's talk about Tide. Let's make this a Crimson Tide show.
Man, you botching this whole thing the whole time, man.
You know what I can do? I'm gonna go dig up Crimson Tide now. I haven't watched that since it came out.
I watched it again recently. It's really good. There's a bit where Denzel Washington talks about the Silver Surfer.
It's a submarine movie, right?
Yeah, it's great. Gene Hackman, Denzel Washington, one of my favorite Denzel movies.
I remember being a Gene Hackman movie more than I forgot Denzel Washington was.
But it's fine. It's sort of like
when it came out.
Denzel is in the new Macbeth movie. Then it goes back to Crimson Cage.
This is a total hot doo-doo water. I'm sorry for
whatever. Yeah.
I will never forgive you. It's just done professionally. How dare you?
He's very harsh. I'll come back on the show, but
And I said it multiple times.
No, you've said Crimson Cage
No,
every
you
other
said it the
time.
one time.
It was only that one time. You're good. You're golden.
Oh, but man, I know you guys came up with wrestling, and I know John is a big wrestling fan when it comes to AEW.
I am indeed.
We'll talk about that Miedo in a few seconds.
Well, actually, you should look up last Halloween. When you say Sierra Meadow, look back last Halloween. My Halloween costume was Penta L0M. My Halloween name for that month was Penta John Jr., which I was quite proud of.
Yeah, so John was doing I guess John will always have a big Halloween party, and since last year I was actually able to go to it for the first time because I
did it as a video call.
I live in New England and John's in
Scotland, so yeah, old Scotland.
So we did the whole Skype thing, and I'm dressed like I'm dressed, and John picks up. He's got the whole face paint, all this crap on, and he's just like, "Hey, we're watching a movie. We're about to watch Slugs, whatever we're watching."
Put some in your voice when you talk about the masterpiece that is Slugs.
Oh, it was the greatest. It was the greatest. I got the 4K Blu-ray. What have you?
No expense spared. But yeah, no. The funny thing is, my annual tradition is every year I do a big Halloween party at my home, and and the funny thing is, it's quite different having a Halloween party, whereas everybody's kind of buzzing around, and you're walking about and you're listening to music and you're talking, and you have the fun time and the spirit of it. Then when you're sitting by yourself in an empty room dressed in your Halloween costume with all your decorations behind you, let's watch a movie, guys.
Yeah, what? That was one when it ended, all right, bye, John, and clicked off.
And just turned off the lights and just sat in the dark.
Pizza costume with his dog, and just not move for a few days.
I guess I'll just wash off this face paint now.
Oh, Lord. Oh well, we're so cool.
Rod will be taking back those nice introductions he gave us at the start of the line. These guys aren't cool. I was wrong.
No. Oh. Ashley just popped in for 2 seconds, and I was asking if she wanted to say hi. She's being shy.
Oh, hi, Ashley.
Mike, you're a part of this. This is your book too. She's like, no, I'm going there.
Everyone in the chat that's going to watch this on a replay, make sure you check out Mr. Alec Cormack. And of course, check out Mr. John Lees, man, dropping the new book. What's the date time for? I'm not going to botch this time.
Okay. Crimson Cage. It's coming out in December, right?
Yeah, well, from what obviously, all release dates TBC, when it comes to comics. But as far as I know, right now the plan is Hotel Volume 2 Issue 1 drops on 1st of December. Then the following week, Crimson Cage Issue 1 drops on 8th of December. So as far as I know, it's going to be back-to-back. A Lee's double bill. A Lee's sandwich. Double the Lees.
There's 30 jokes to make right there.
And I appreciate you making none of them.
It'll be perfect time for the holidays, right? To grab these books.
Yeah. Yes. I've decided that, John Lee's December is bigger than Christmas.
That's right. I love it. You're about to go the whole Beatles route.
Yeah.
Oh, no. It's all right. They can buy the book and burn it just as long as they buy it.
As long as they buy it, I don't mind. I get your money.
Oh, that's terrible. But yeah, so it's in previews now, right? For
October, it's in previews now. So we should probably have dropped the previews links, but you can find it on previewsworld.com. Just search for Crimson Cage or Hotel, or go to your local comic shop and they'll have the previews catalog. Most comic shops will have the big previews catalog on their shelf. If you open it up, you'll find a big double-page spread of both Hotel and Crimson Cage. All the information right there. Check it out. And like I say, I really hope you guys will give it a go because I think we're really proud of both these books.
Yeah, pretty cool.
I'm more proud of Crimson Cage, but yeah, Hotel's good. buy them all. Buy 'em all.
I love both my children.
I want to, yo, man, and don't forget, man, if you want to pre-order your books, you can go to a pre-world,
Previews world.
yes, and then from your LCS, you can go from there, and they can put the books that you want on your pull list. So that's what I do. With
you can do that.
LCS Dombrowski's right here in Winter Haven, Florida, man. Shout out to you guys, man.
That's right.
So, man, we're hanging out once again, man, with the artist, Mr. Alex Cormack. If you don't know who he is, man, the guy has been doing fantastic art. Man, Roll the Bones is where I got to know this homeboy with his homie, Rich Stewart, man. And we got right now, John Lee's in the house. I'm so freaking nervous hanging out with you. I know.
Don't be nervous.
I'm a little comfortable with Alex, but hanging out with Mr. John, man. Thank you for hanging out right now, man. And I don't even know what to say, man. It's the first time you hanging out on the show, so.
Oh well, like I say, like it's a lot of fun being here. Like, obviously, like for us, like this is like a kind of big kind of time in like the kind of like lifespan of a comic, because a lot of folk don't realize that like a lot of like my friends who are not maybe not that into comics, maybe they'll just like give me a supportive like on Facebook when I announce a new project. Their idea is like, they'll say like the week a book comes out, they go, oh, well, what do I do to get your comic? And they don't realize so much of like getting the word out there. There's still so much of the crucial stuff like happens now, like 2 months before the book's release. And thanks already on the pool, that's appreciated. Yeah. Because obviously this is when they order them. This is when retailers decide if this is a book that's worth getting, worth supporting or not. So it's a big deal for us to try and get the word out there. So any kind of like folk willing to talk to us, like willing to bring us on our show, is really appreciated. So the fact that you're doing this really means a lot. And like I think me and Alex, I speak for me and Alex both when I say thank you very much for having us on.
Yeah, dude, and yeah, anytime. It's a fun show. I love coming here.
Yeah, it's I would say it's intimidating. I mean, people say, they're just regular dudes, man. But, it's at times. I mean,
you think I'm a regular dude, but this is a murderer you're talking to right now.
But the thing is, it's like, I could reach out to some of the, the other guys, but when I reach out to us, where I consider myself a small guy, and I see you guys are big too when it comes to indies, and you guys are like to respond so quick, to hang out and to jump on and to draw. And I want to say, on behalf of myself, on behalf of the comic book community, thank you. That's all I have to say. Thank you. It means
sure.
They're probably gonna watch this on a rewind, most likely, but they know what I'm trying to say, and I think you guys do too. But I'm out of words. I'm just like, so much.
Well,
totally
dude, I mean, thank you. And, without you, I mean, you're doing the show and you're helping us get the word out and all that. So, I mean, we owe you a huge thanks, too.
Yeah, I think we're all coming from the same place, which is like loving comics and wanting to sort of like spread the love of comics and like, get the word out there. Like, there's a lot of time in your day putting this together, like, and you wouldn't do it unless you loved comics. And it's obviously a lot of work for us to kind of like make these things. Like, we wouldn't do it if we didn't love comics. So we're all coming from the same place. But yeah, like in terms of like, I'm trying to think what else to cover that we haven't covered already, and I realised that we've been talking for about an hour and I haven't actually said what the plot of the Crimson Cage is. We've been talking about obviously I've said it's like Macbeth, like, but anyway, there might be some folk out there who haven't heard of Macbeth or haven't read Macbeth, and they think like, that's Shakespeare, that's not. So I thought maybe I should probably like. So yeah, like. I'll maybe describe the plot for anyone who doesn't know. The basic premise is...
said, Rod is the man, no questions. I got some questions, man.
I think that's fair enough.
I'll throw out a rapid fire, man. I'll throw out a rapid fire, and I'll take the rapid fire from you guys right now in the chat. But I'll kick things off right now. When you wake up tomorrow morning, okay, in your neck of the woods, this is rapid fire. One answer, one question, one answer. Alex been on this role, I think, before. He's all right. So when you wake up in the morning, what's the first thing you need? One answer, one question, one answer.
First thing in the morning?
First thing in the morning, what you need?
Coffee. Absolutely coffee. Straight downstairs, make a pot of coffee. Fill it up to whatever 6 on the thing. Put in 6 scoops. That's absolute number one.
Mine's is similar. I don't drink coffee, but I'll say breakfast. Either it's a toast or cereal, followed by a nice couple of cups of tea to wake me up in the morning. Breakfast starts me off the right day, right? So I'll say breakfast. Yeah.
So what's your breakfast though, John?
It can vary. Sometimes I like to kind of mix things up because I'm a bit wild like that. Like sometimes I'll have toast, sometimes I'll have cereal, and sometimes I'm feeling extra spicy. I'll have a bit of fruit.
He just took it a different level. He went the whole 100 yards, man.
You wild.
It's a question.
Sometimes
one answer.
I'll have cereal.
No, he went the whole 100 yards on football.
Oh my god!
So we went from coffee.
You haven't lived until you've had a fig for breakfast.
All right.
Fig?
So we got coffee and the entire breakfast, man.
Yeah, now you mentioned coffee. I kind of want a cup of coffee right now. Yeah, I'm the type. I'll have like coffee all day long. I love it.
And number 2, man. Let's see here. I'm looking at. The
You
chat
said number
here.
2.
Oh, there's what coming from the chat. Transformers or GoBots? That's coming from Phable.
Go ahead, John.
To be honest, like I'm not really a big Transformers guy, but I'd probably say Transformers because I've heard of Transformers and not really heard of GoBots, so I'll say Transformers.
Yeah, I actually owned Transformers as a kid, so I'll say Transformers too. But I liked the cartoon when I was a kid.
Oh, sorry,
but I was never huge. I was more when those were out. I was He-Man more than Transformers.
Yeah, like
I
was a kid of like the late 80s, early 90s, and those toys were all a thing. Like obviously I got Transformers now and then, but I was more like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles guy or a He-Man guy than a Transformers guy.
And coffee is life. That's right. Speaking of Ninja Turtles, didn't you write one of those books, John?
I wish I could say I drew it, but no. Like, I wrote an issue of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles of Universe. Nick Patara was on art. We did the issue which introduced the character of Worm to the IDW Turtles universe, which was a lot of fun.
The WYRM, right?
WIRM, yes.
Yeah, that was great. That was a great one.
Yeah, I noticed that. I was. I'm sorry that I was kind of doing the notes late during the day, and I was reading some of your.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah.
You've given us plenty of material.
Yeah.
But funny story about that though is that one of the things that's been so cool about I've not had much experience in work for hire, but I did a little bit of like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles universe, and one of the great things is we made that character Worm and put him, or not made him, but like made our version of him, like reinvented him and put him into like the kind of Turtles universe. And even now, like several years after we did that story, sometimes you'll see like Turtles message boards when some mystery villain like is in the shadows, folk will go, "Oh, I wonder if it's Worm coming back," like because they've like created something like the other writers can pick up and use now. Nice. It's a lot of fun.
Sweet. All right, so
get that rapid fire going. What's next?
Yeah.
All right, rapid fire.
I'm digging these.
Rapid fire. Here I'm trying to share links at the same time.
Oh yeah.
As I'm doing this, man. But all right.
Ooh.
So if you had a chance to sit down with someone in a coffee shop or a donut shop, or hey, even a Dunkin' Donuts. You guys,
I'm from Massachusetts, man. Yeah, it's all dunks.
Who would be the one guy you will walk in and be like, oh, coconuts? Who would be that one guy that you will want to hang out? Past, future, who would it be, man?
That I don't want to sit down and have like a cup of coffee with?
Alex Cormack.
Oh. Rich Doick.
I'm leaving. No, but in terms of like celebrity answers, funny enough, since we mentioned them earlier on, I think obviously I'm a big fan of Bryan Danielson. And I always think he's like a super interesting guy whenever he's does interviews and stuff like that. So I think he'd be an interesting person to pick their brain about and chat to a bit. So I'll go for him. Or David Lynch would be an interesting one as well.
David Lynch would be a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he'd be good to have a coffee with, even though I don't even drink coffee. I'd make an exception if I was sitting with David Lynch.
You kind of have to. You kind of have to do like the whole
black coffee.
I mean, for that, it's you kind of have to break it down into like categories, because I'm thinking of all right, if I walked in and saying Spielberg was there, I would crap myself, or
please don't crap yourself. We wouldn't be impressed if you did that.
Yeah. But oh my god.
It's got to be someone that you.
I know. Oh, there's so many people though.
That is really him.
Yeah, I would say. Yeah, part of me is thinking something throw out someone like Norman Rockwell or something like that, or I'm trying to think of artist heroes of mine, and I'll say what I said. Steven Spielberg. If I walked into a place and I saw Steven Spielberg hanging out, I would probably be like, "Holy shit!" Just because Indiana Jones is my all-time favorite movie. A lot of storytelling direction just from illustrated comes from watching those movies all the time. I don't even know if he's would even say is my all-time favorite director or not, but. Yeah, if I saw Steven Spielberg in a place, I'd probably be like, "Oh my god." That's kind of. I feel like it's a lame answer, but
no, that's a good answer. I want to talk to Steven Spielberg
right now, and I'll think about 15 other people when we're all done, and be like, "Oh, why didn't I say this guy or this guy?"
I just think of a nice moment. You sitting down and saying Mr. Spielberg, you've obviously been a huge influence in me. You've made so many movies that inspired me. And Steven Spielberg says, "How did you get past my security detail? How dare you speak to me?"
I walk out and slap the coffee out of his hands. What are you doing in Indiana Jones 4? What's the matter with you? That reminds me of your story with Stan Lee, but I think that's. That's another story for another day.
Yeah, another time. Although a funny thing is that I did meet in terms of celebrity stories. My favourite celebrity story is I met Tilda Swinton once, and the actress Tilda Swinton, and I was at a cinema in Edinburgh, and they had a little DVD shop out front. So I was browsing through the DVDs, and I look up, and the person on the other side of me is the actress Tilda Swinton, and so I kind of leave a little smile, and she gives a little smile back and stuff like that. And I thought that's cool. I wouldn't give it away or anything that she's here. We had a wee moment, and then my friend walks up to talk to me, and she starts talking to me, and she looks at this. She does a double take, goes, and she's like, "Oh my god, John, it's Kate Blanchett."
Swing and a miss. Oh my god. Yeah, I'll tell you my Dan Aykroyd story later, but I don't want to interrupt the rapid fire thing.
Oh, yeah.
Hey man, you can drop it whenever you want, man.
I'll
Go for it.
Yeah, all right. Real quick. Dan Aykroyd was pitching his Skull Vodka, right? And what he was doing, he was going to liquor stores all over America, kind of being a guest appearance and come buy my vodka, right? My brother is a huge, he's the collector of the bunch, right? He's the one that has like all the CGC books. Like he's got them all really nice, and he loves to get celebrity autographs, stuff like that. And we got word that Dan Aykroyd was gonna be here, and he's like, "Oh yeah, we gotta go down. We gotta get an autograph." So the thing is, while we're waiting in line, they were trying to get people in and out real fast, right? And we have a story with him because he made a movie, Celtic Pride, like in the mid '90s, and we were in the crowd for that. But the thing is, they were doing the filming, and my brother got all excited to see him. He took a picture, and the flash went off. Then the director went, "Cut! Get those guys out of here!" And technically, we were the last people ever to be kicked out of the original Boston Garden. So my brother wanted to tell him this story, and he was all excited. But they were rushing people in. So he came up to me. He's like, "All right, listen, I'm going to give you the camera. Just pretend it doesn't work, okay? Just kind of monkey with it. Just be like, sorry, the thing's all goofy. Give me enough time, I can tell the story, right?" So we finally get in the line, and my brother goes up, shakes Dan Aykroyd's hand. I'm like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. This camera is so goofy. I don't know what I'm doing." My brother has enough time to tell the story. Dan Aykroyd's very nice. He says, "Oh, that's great." And I said, "Okay, fine." And click. Okay, great. Give the camera to my brother. I shake his hand. I'm thinking, "Oh, my brother's going to go click, and let's get the hell out of here." And but he doesn't. My brother does the exact same thing. So give me some time to say hello and all that. I'm standing there shaking his hand like this, and my brother's doing this. So I look over at Dan Aykroyd and I go, "Well, I guess we'll just hold hands for a while." And he was just like, "All right." I'm like, "Okay, just take the goddamn picture and get out of here." And yeah, that was when I met Dan Aykroyd.
I'll never forget that handshake.
Yep. And the picture came out blurry. And the son of a bitch, he was wearing the hat and like glasses and everything. Like, luckily he was in the Blues Brothers.
You recognize him with that?
What was that?
You recognize him with that? All that?
Oh well, he's in the Blues Brothers, right? And like the Blues Brothers is one of those movies.
You're gonna recognize anybody with a hat and glasses is gonna be Dan Aykroyd.
I'd also go crazy. But yeah, I mean, he had the hat and the glasses on and blues, so you recognize him just from that. He can't disguise himself anymore unless he did like the shredder look or whatever what the rest of us have with the mask. So. Oh well.
I had a story to say, but I'm not going to get to it. But and we went over an hour right now. I have to say right now, since you guys are doing a fantastic comic book, man, Crimson Tide. Got it right this time, man.
Crimson Cage.
It's
Crimson Cage.
Got it right this time.
No, it's Crimson Cage.
God! You know what? Chicken butt. I got notes in front of me right now, man. Look at this, man. I got notes everywhere. That's fucking nervous, man.
Look, Alex, emergency meeting. Should we change the name of it to Crimson Tide? That is a good title.
Might as well right now. Yeah.
Oh, man.
No worries, it's fine.
The cage, man. When you jump into the cage.
Just think of Nicolas Cage. It's Crimson Cage.
Yeah. Oh, I should have put
all right, Alex. Stop
I still got the rest of issue 5 to go. I'll see if I can stick him in.
The other one too, man. Give me a second here to recover on the nutsacks right now, man. But your favorite wrestler, since we're doing a rapid fire, man.
All right.
Oh, you guys, the book is dope. I've read issue 1. Holy coconuts. Man, I see a lot of things in that issue 1. I see a lot of the artwork, a lot of the painting. I see some demolition. I see some things that reminds me of Ric Flair and the
There's a big Ric Flair influence on our
Van Emerald is like the world champion.
Not even trying to hide it. Like it was clear.
Just leans right in it.
We were thinking Ric Flair, that guy.
I mean, the fun story is like obviously when you see the issue 1 has this big matchup between Chuck Frenzy, who's like the local star of this small Louisiana promotion, and who's like the kind of big fish in a small pond, who's never had this big opportunity, and he has the big matchup with the world champion Van Emerald. And it was totally, the vibes we were totally going for was like Flair Steamboat. Like Chuck Frenzy even has like the white tights like Ricky Steamboat has, like, you know, and like, so that was a total vibe we were going for. But obviously, what I had the idea with Chuck Frenzy is like Ricky Steamboat was always like, you know, he's the kind of good guy's good guy, but he was never really the star. He was always just like the foil to Ric Flair. He was like the kind of the other guy. So like, what would happen if you thought, well, I'm going to get into business for myself and I want to like take my opportunity and be the top guy? And that was the kind of like, you know, the way the story goes as things pan out. And yeah, so like that was kind of definitely the vibe we're going for in that first issue. So yeah, there's a lot of parallels to various like real life wrestlers, which you'll probably see over the course of the series.
Yeah, I mean, like one guy has like, I mean, even has like the one strap Andre the Giant.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I know, like, yeah, there's a lot of things like that in there.
Yeah,
and I kind of like when they're not wrestling; they're just hanging out at the bar. They're drinking, and you know, it's just like, yo, man, I just want to hang out. I want to just do my thing. No, come on, man, hang out, man. Let's keep on.
Well, the funniest story is, I'm not sure. First, before I tell this story, are we allowed to swear on this podcast?
Yeah, you can do whatever you want, man.
Okay, so like, but there's a sequence in the first issue where like they're sitting in the bar, like you say, and then like this kind of fan comes over and he's like, you know, oh gee, like, you know, I just saw that guy over at the bar, like, you know, that you've been feuding with, you should go fight him. And he has to like, take a drink and go like, you know, that motherfucker, and goes to fight him. And that was actually based on like an actual story I'd heard about. I was in an interview with a wrestler called Conan, like a Mexican star, and he said like back, like, you know, for a long time, like in Mexico, like right up until recently, they looked at wrestling as being real, like they really took it seriously over there. So he said at one point, like, you know, he was walking through the airport and some fans ran up to him and like, you know, hey Conan, Perro Aguayo Jr.'s like at the departure lounge, like, you know, so what are you going to do about it? And this was like his rival, so he had to go like, that motherfucker, and go and fight him in the airport because that's what people expected, you know. And like, you know, so I wanted to play a little bit with that, like the idea of like folk thinking it's real and like, you know, him having to be in character even when he's like out of work.
Imagine being in the airport, like you're just like, I got a connecting flight, I'm tired, stupid red eye, and then these two like monster dudes just start going on like, fellas, I need to get to G3 or whatever. Can you team line?
Excuse me. Season throwing at each other, you know.
All right, man. So that is your favorite wrestler. So.
My favorite wrestler is Bryan Danielson, American Dragon Bryan Danielson, my all-time favorite and current favorite.
I'm with you, Alex.
I've been a fan since 2000.
Big. I know about John already. I can tell.
Yeah. I've been a fan of his, but he's my favorite wrestler since about 2006. So like, I'm an old school Bryan Danielson fan. Like, you know,
Ring of Honor. Like, you're going old school.
So.
Yeah, I'll say. I can tell you when I was a kid, when it first started out, I really liked Demolition and Legion of Doom. I went into the Rockers. I liked the Rockers a bunch. Then I hated Shawn Michaels forever because they broke him up. But at the same time, Shawn Michaels was like, Jesus Christ, this guy's good. And I loved Hulk Hogan forever. I'll go with, but I'll give it to Macho Man. I'm going like all old 80s, but I love Macho. I mean, how do you not like Macho Man? I mean,
yeah. Actually, like, there's a little bit of Macho Man and Chuck Frenzy as well.
There's totally
in terms of the relationship with, like, you know, Chuck and his valet.
Yeah, I was when we started this back in like 2018, 2017, whatever it was. It was. I was totally. I looked at a handful of like.
Green Comics.
I kind of wanted, and I think I drew some of. I think I did. It wasn't Shawn Michaels. I think it was Marty Jannetty. Was that his name? Yeah. And I think I drew a version of him. I drew my own version of, and this is someone I'll do with like character designs. I'll always think of like, all right, who do I want to cast in this? But not looking at any reference photos.
Just imagine them in my head.
Yeah, and then I think Chuck Frenzy was my memory of Macho Man.
Yeah,
I
we're talking about
mustache or
anything. If I were talking about the DNA that makes up Chuck Frenzy, our protagonist, I would say, like I mentioned, there's a little bit of Ricky Steamboat in terms of being like the good guy's good guy. There's a little bit of like Randy Savage in terms of like, you know, like him having the valet. Charlene is like his like Elizabeth / Sherry. Then you have like there's a little bit of Rick Rude. I think his design, his visuals are a lot like Rick Rude in terms of the moustache, you know, like in the hair, like ravishing Rick Rude, the mullet. And then like, the other one I'd say is this maybe a bit more of a deep cut. Yeah, yeah, exactly. This maybe a bit more of a deep cut, but I think like there's a lot of his just in terms of how hairy he is. Like, you know, I think it reminds me a lot of Magnum TA, like, you know, the NWA star from the 80s. Like, you know, that's the kind of like little cocktail of like influences that make up Chuck Frenzy.
Yeah, how hairy is that's completely. I got back into Sam Keith for a little bit, and I was like, I'm gonna do everybody like Wicked Harry, like he does like the Max underneath that thing, and I was looking at a bunch like Jim Lee, like all those like early night, like Wolverine is always like so freaking. I'm like, I'm gonna do that with this guy, and it's and
it works. I think he gets hated at every issue as well. He's like a werewolf by the last issue.
Yeah. I was even I was like, should I give him a shave? You're like,
nah.
All right, gang, hanging out with some cool homies right now. Once again, yo, I want to throw this out to you right now. All right, even though we're talking about wrestling, we've been talking about comic books, we've been talking about the Crimson Cage.
Got it.
There it is.
Got it right.
Got him.
Make sure you check out these homies right now. There's some links in the description below that you want to check out. I put as many as I can. All right. So click their links, check them out. IG, the whole 9 yards, man. A question to you guys at rapid fire. This is the 5th question. I know people are just mention a few things wrestling wise. Boom. Danielson Omega recently AWA.
Yeah, that was an amazing match. I kind of want to make Alex watch that match and say like this is what wrestling is like. You know, like I think even you would like it. It was fantastic.
I'm aware of what it is, John.
It was a very good match, should I say? But right now, man, if you had an opportunity, if any publisher or anyone came to you and be like, boom, John, Alex, I want you to draw, I want you to write, what would it be? The one book out there on your pull list that you read and be like, oh man, this could be a lot better. Oh man, this art could be a lot better. What kind of book it could be? Let me tell you, man, there's a lot hot doo-doo water out there, man. And I've purchased some of these hot doo-doo waters.
I mean, like, I wouldn't really come at it from the perspective of, like, you know, I think this book's not very good and I could do better, like, because, like, I think, like, you know, I think a lot of that stuff is, like, I enjoy a lot of, like, the Big Two stuff. I enjoy a lot of the things, and, like, you know, so I wouldn't really be taking the perspective of, like, I could do it better than the people currently doing them, but in terms of, like, if I could do any book, like, you know, one, I don't think I'd like to do like a big ongoing run or anything like that. I think it'd be nice to do a kind of do a little kind of like, you know, event mini, get in and out or something, you know, do something contained that could be nice collected. But if it was up to me, like I'd love, and if I was working with Alex, I would love to do either obviously it's the pure basic bitch choices, but like I'd love to do like, you know, a Batman comic for DC, or I'd love to do a Spider-Man comic for Marvel. They're my kind of like two like OG favorites that I've loved since I was a kid. I think it'd be like a big kind of like, you know, what do you call it, bucket list thing to kind of like get to write either of those characters in my lifetime. And it would be even better getting to work on them with my comic soulmate, Alex Cormack.
He went the easy way, man. He went with the easy way.
Or if you want something a bit more out there, I'd also like to do a Swamp Thing story. I was like, I've been a fan of him for ages as well.
We'll find out, man, because I got something right here, and you can't see it, but I'm gonna see if Mr. Cormack is gonna mention it, man. But how about you, man? If you had to work on something, what would it be?
It's anything. Let's see. Yeah, I'll say. Is that Daredevil? I'll work on Daredevil. Sure.
Oh, that's a good one. Oh, I'd love to do Daredevil. Aye.
But I mean,
He's one
like
of
John
my favourites
said,
too.
I mean, I grew up with I mean, you know, Batman movies were coming out when I was getting into comics. So I mean, I would love to draw Batman one day. I'd love to draw Spider-Man one day. Especially my son right now is just crazy about Spider-Man. Like he knows like Crusher Hogan even. Like he knows all the little bits. Like specifically Stan Lee, Steve Ditko. And like that run, like the first, like he's crazy about that stuff. For his sake, I'd love to draw a Spider-Man.
That'd be cool.
But I mean, I don't know, man. Like you know, I love what I'm doing right now, and I love doing like creator own stuff. I love that's kind of what I want to keep doing. You know,
No, I agree with that actually.
Like,
yeah, I think no matter what I was doing, I'd love to be doing creator owned as well.
Yeah, I mean, if like you know, if DC Marvel like say tomorrow, like, hey, we want you to do whatever, you know, I'm not stupid. I'm gonna say sure, you know, but yeah, no, I mean, this is like I kind of want to tell my own stories and to do my own thing. So and work with John with you know, I love working with my friends here. So yeah, what I'm doing now is what I want to be doing, which is great.
No, that's actually a really great answer, Alex. I mean, I look like you obviously can't see from here, like, but I have a bookshelf back there.
Yeah.
I've got a little bookshelf. One of the wee bits of it is like my books that I've worked on. Like I have like the Standard and then Lewis Gone.
Yeah.
I've got like Sync. I've got Mountainhead, and like as much fun as it would be to like work on like Batman or Daredevil or X-Men or whoever else, like you know. We could come in and do our story, and whether it was good or bad, we would then leave, and someone else would come in and do their one, like you know, and life would go on. But I like the idea that, like you know, Sync is ours. Like you know, it only exists like as much as we want it to exist, and like when it's finished, when we finish it, it's finished. You know, and I quite like that. That it's our baby. You know, like you know, it's it's difference between like going down to your friend's house and playing with their toys and having your own toys. You know,
right? Exactly. Yeah. You know,
and like so yeah, like I do agree that like as much fun it would be to work on other stuff, I do think that the most satisfaction you get is from telling your own stories the way you want to tell them, and if I can do that, I'd be happy.
Yeah, it's one of the it's like it's a mountain climb, but you know, like once you climb it, all right, you did it, all right, great. But yeah, what I want to be doing is what I'm doing now, which is it's great.
And also, I saw like TM Nerdy while we were talking there. TM Nerdy asked like Seinfeld or Friends, but my answer is Frasier.
Frasier, hell yeah! And by the way, on Twitter, Ryan Lee put up a thing how he hates Frasier, and
well, obviously I'm gonna have to cancel upcoming projects with Ryan Lee.
So since then, since he did that, I'll try to jump on anytime he says something. I try to throw a Frasier gif on there as much as I can.
I'm going to commission him to draw like a cast shot of Frasier, like you know.
I'll put it. We'll go halves on it. Oh, and by the way, do I ever see myself drawing Transformers or Beast Wars? Sure, love to. I think that'll be a blast. If they ask, yeah, sure. Let's give it a crack. Let's. Why not? They haven't asked yet, but if they do, sure.
They should. Yep. They'll have to fight me for them.
All right. We're gonna have to end up doing a Transformers thing, and we're gonna both get the job, John, and then halfway through, they're like, "Oh, we saw this interview. It's you guys are more internal guys." So
yeah, but did you just see about the Transformers guy?
No.
I'm not a fan of the Beast Wars, but I'm a gigantic Transformers fan.
Now, this is a total random tangent. Sorry, I know like we're trying to do rapid fire here, but like I was watching Tom Hanks' Big recently, and it's a scene when he's like describing like you know like he's pitching toys, and then one of the scenes he picks up, he goes, "What happens if you could turn this robot into like an animal instead of a car?" And he's like, you know, it's like, did he just invent Beast Wars? You know, like a decade before, you know, actually happened.
It's all right. I've quoted that bit a bunch. Like, I don't get it. I don't get it.
I don't get it.
All right, man.
Oh my god, yeah.
Man,
Big's good.
It's a good time hanging out with these homies right now, man. The chat has been awesome, man.
Oh.
And this is still rapid fire. We're just, we're having a good time talking. Now, there's two questions running through my head, man.
All right.
I'm gonna go with one right now. Oh man, here we go.
Let's get this.
If you had to take one to the holy coconuts! It was right up front.
Yeah. Oh jeez. Oh jeez.
All right, man. If you had to take to the coffin, what comic book would it be? Actually, we're gonna make it a two-part question. / your favorite food you're gonna take with you to that coffin.
All right. Sure.
So there it is, man.
Favorite comic.
Your comic book that if something's gonna happen, you want it with you, as long with your last meal, should I say? I know for me it won't be that hard.
Haggis.
I'm gonna be taking my Turok.
That was
probably $1, and I'm taking the cheesesteak with me. So
there you go.
Yeah.
For the record, I visited John in Scotland back when we were starting to sync, and my goal was all right, just being American. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna have haggis. I had to have haggis, and
nice.
It's really good. Yeah, it wasn't what I was expecting, and I was like, what's the big deal? This is delicious.
Yeah, it's a nice tasty meal. But yeah, in terms of like food, I would take a platter of bonchon chickens, Korean fried chicken. Just not only because I think it's tasty, but also because it gives me specific memories of New York and time spent with like friends and comics friends, and big meetings over there. So it has certain mental associations that make me happy. So I'd like that in there. In terms of a comic, I don't know, like I don't want to give an answer like, my Sandman, absolute edition compendiums, because they're that heavy, I'd probably be coming through the coffin like coffin flop, that like sketch. So like, if I were to choose something more contained, I don't know. Are we talking about like full comics runs or like a single issue?
One of your favorite comic books.
I got it right here.
There's a
book 10?
You. Just like Alex did, Mr. Alex just grabbed the book. There's got to be one book, John, that it's like you're eating your last meal. You'd be like, wait a minute.
I've got it. Okay. If we're talking about single issues, then I will say All-Star Superman issue 10. That's the one, where the cover, where you're holding the globe. Like, for me, one, I think it's, the best superhero comic, pretty much ever, in terms of, how much it just establishes, what's great about being a superhero, how, the emotion behind it. Also, I think it's a cool example because that comic was made entirely by Glaswegians in a studio in Glasgow, Scotland. So it's the idea of what's possible, even for comic creators, living in my corner of the world. So I think it's quite inspirational in that sense as well. So yeah, I'd say All-Star Superman means a lot to me and as a whole, but that issue is my favorite issue of the run, so I'd pick that one.
All right, man. Well said.
I'll say for food, I got a handful of choices, but I'll say I'm going
some elixir that brings you back to life.
Yeah, I'm going between two. I'm going between my mother's chicken curry, which is just out of this world good, and my wife's chicken chimichangas, which she makes them and they're like this. Oh, they're so good. They're so good. And those are both special event meals, something happened, like a birthday or it's a holiday or something. That's when those meals will come out.
Well, obviously, I know where this is going. Happy wife, happy life. So
yeah. Sorry, Mom. Gonna get a phone call after this. Be like, excuse me.
I just bet your mom's like, excuse me, I spent an hour and a half listening to you guys talking about wrestling and comics.
Yeah, I'm waiting for you to drop my.
I was having a great time, then I heard you dismissed me.
Oh, so good. It's but as far as for comic, if we're doing a single issue, I'll I'll answer that. But one of my favorites, one that popped in my head right now, at least, and was like in reaching distance is, and I always get this guy's name wrong, but it's Christoph. I don't know, but his book Moby Dick. This one, I don't know how you pronounce this right here. Chabote.
Get closer so I can see.
There you go. It's
Shabut
Is Shabut?
or Shabute. I'm either one.
Shabut. Anyways, this guy's amazing. He's French comic artist, and his work has probably inspired me more than anybody, especially lately. Like there wouldn't be like Rotobones and CSR specifically. I had his books like open the entire time. And the same deal with like Crimson Cage. I had his books just like all right, but yeah, his version of Moby Dick I love. It's one of my favorite books. So yeah, grab that one. Right. If it's a single issue, I would say. And then Emily was gone. Free comic book day.
All right. Yo, Alex, I want to read the book, so hook me up with some info on that.
Sure.
I'm really looking to read that and to see more of how that inspire you to, your artwork and stuff like that. So I would like to read that.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, I found it. I don't even know how I found it. I picked it up somewhere, and I'm a Moby Dick fan anyway, so I saw like, oh, what's this version? I was like, holy crap! And it's got to the point I'm buying his stuff that's not in English, that's in French. I'm like, I don't know what he's saying. It's so good.
No, I get that, Phil. You got it bad for a creator when you're doing that. Like I've got up on my shelf up there, I've got a Naoki Urasawa art book, which is all in Japanese, with all these big massive like profiles all just written in Japanese. And I can't even read, but the book's too good to not have.
Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't go the 21st Century Boys. Is that what it is?
Oh yeah, I would have gone for that if it was choosing like whole runs, but trying to choose like a single issue, obviously they don't do issues in manga.
Yeah. Everybody.
Yeah, if I was doing the whole run, it'd be that.
Runs, and then Emily was gone. Ian Laurie, who did the art with that, just that book's bananas.
Yeah, he's quite a talent, Ian Laurie. I wrote and Emily was gone. Pretty much when I wrote that, I was just doing like his Ian Laurie fanfic, where I was writing like something that I knew he could draw well, and they knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, that's it's a book you gotta wash your hands after.
Well said, sir, man. Hanging out with some cool homies in the community, man. These guys are not pillars, man. These are anchors when it comes to comic books and writing, artists, man. The whole 9 yards, man. We got Mr. John Lee in the house, Mr. Alex Cormack, man. These guys are working with AWA UPSHOT, man, dropping a new comic book, Crimson Cage, man. Stay tuned for that. I'm sorry I've been botching that throughout.
You got it? You got it?
Yeah, you got it. It counts.
But I'm doing my little promo right now, man. So make sure you check these guys out on their Instagram, on their Twitter. If you guys want to drop some links, feel free to do that right now. That's totally up to you. If you can, I got to give you a blue wrench if you're able to do that. But on your boy Rod the Rican, thank you all for hanging out on the show right now. And let the people know, when is Crimson Cage going to be dropping, John and Alex?
Crimson Cage coming out on December 8th, available for pre-order now. And also Hotel Volume 2 is coming out on December 1st, also available for pre-order now. And Dig Kickstarter coming soon. Watch this space.
That's right.
All right, man. With that being said, as always, gang, we could talk about Hotel later on and the Kickstarter, but we'll get to that down the road, man. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, stay classic, comic book community.
That's right.
Bye.
All right.
Stay right there.